everyone around you is like stressing about homeschool, and you're like, my kid is 3 or younger, or maybe has a developmental delay and is like they're 3 or younger, and you're like, for me, homeschool doesn't even cut it. But you don't want this time to go to waste. You're willing to do whatever it takes for your kid, but you don't have the training. You've come to the right place. My name is Julie Meyer, and I happen to know that you as a parent have powers far greater than any of us therapists or educators can ever have. Keep watching. Okay, good morning. So this next video is something that I've actually been wanting to do for a while, but I had to do those previous ones in order for it all to make sense. So I will link the narrative, the previous 2 narrative videos that I did just a couple minutes ago. You can watch them at your leisure. The first one, just so you know what to look for in the video, I'm new to this whole YouTube thing, so I don't know if I'm linking them properly, but just to be safe, this is the one that you're going to look for. You can find it on my channel. I'll also paste it in the up in my Facebook group, and I'm also going to try and link it at the end, but just in case. It's the one where I explain the major dramatic curve. And this might look familiar to you as a story arc that you might have learned in school. This is where today's video is leading us ultimately. If you're at the level of what today's video is going to be about, it's going to take some time, but it helps us to have the end in sight. So that video is going to tell about story structure and how that is basically how most of us communicate most of the time when we're talking to each other, when we're trying to understand what the other person's saying, and in our entertainment, like the books, a lot of the books, like story books that we read, and I don't just mean children's story books, but even just novels, Dickens, Tolstoy, whatever we're reading for entertainment. Movies, television shows, sometimes even commercials, YouTube videos, Pixar shorts, follow this structure, sports games, sometimes even reference a cooking show when I did this one, and a lot of you might get the reference. So that is the first video I made. It's the most complex. It's where we're headed. The next video I made on this topic was revisiting The Little Engine That Could, and gave an interim activity that we can do with this at story time to help to scaffold us in the direction of these more complex stories. But what I'm going to talk about today is how uh-oh is the beginning of all meaningful communication. So a lot of times when parents say they want to hear words from their children, they're wanting more than uh-oh. And a lot of times, though, the child might have a lot of other words or bigger words or more interesting words than uh-oh, but they're not yet using them in a very functional, meaningful way. It's not tying together quite yet. And if you're in that situation, you kind of know what that means. Or if you know a child or a family in that situation, you might have a reference for that. But it's like the kid has words, but they're not quite, and they even understand more words than they're saying in most cases, but they're not telling about things that happened to them or really paying attention to when people are sharing what has happened to them. The beginning of that meaningful communication, that meaningful structure is uh-oh. So when a child says uh-oh, or it's something that you could start pointing out for your child, these uh-oh moments, they're starting to notice problems. That's the first step. And this is a very simple thing that you can do. When your child says uh-oh, share that moment with him. If he has spilled something on the ground and says, uh-oh. I know when they discover it, like the word no, it might happen frequently and you might find it annoying. But know that it is an incredibly important milestone in your child's understanding of how the world works and using his own word, and hopefully eventually words, to communicate about that. So, when can you encourage or highlight, you could do something, this is a cool thing that I haven't been using recently, but I would like to use it more, called sabotage. Sounds like a big, scary thing, but it doesn't have to be a big deal. Spills, we had several at dinner last night, are a common opportunity. You don't have to actually spill things, but if something spills, you could say, and do it in a really dramatic way, and let your child see if your child notices that. Or a moment that he falls down and hopefully is not too badly hurt. You don't want to mock that, but if he falls down and looks just a little bit shaken, you go like, and just share that moment together. But going back to sabotage, it's something that us early childhood therapists and even with some of the older kids or with developmental delays do is we'll take a situation where something is expected, but we'll set it up so that it's different. So there's the old joke, waiter, try the soup. So you might know that, you might not know that. I'm sure if you YouTube it, some old Jewish grandmother or grandfather is telling it. But you could serve food, and if they are used to using utensils, you could not give the utensils. If they're not used to using the utensils yet, then that won't be meaningful. You could give the sippy cup closed but empty. So they try and drink from it, and there's that moment of realization, something's wrong here, that they give you that look. You could say, and don't torture them, then give them their juice or whatever. You could bring them to the bathtub and put them in and forget to pour the water in. You could take their pants and try and put them over their head. So these can lead to some silly moments. Things like that. I'm sure these are just some ideas. You could hand them a toy but with the batteries taken out, and they try to work it and it doesn't work. Then, once you see that they are wonderful if they're starting to notice the uh-ohs themselves, but once that becomes consistent and once they start saying uh-oh themselves, or even like noticing the problem, you could highlight problems. Once that becomes consistent, you could start taking the moment to think, I don't know what we can do. I wonder what we can do about this. They might, if they are now engaged with this moment, start to, like the sippy cup, they might point to the sink or pat on the refrigerator. The spoon is missing for the soup. They might point to the drawer, or if you are holding it in your hand, you could pretend to not know where it is, and they might take your hand or point to the spoon. You could start directing their attention. I wonder what to do next. Take that moment to think. Invite them to think with you in that way. And if they don't suggest something, you can say, maybe we can look in the refrigerator. And then you could even create another uh-oh. You might, with the bottle still closed, pretend to pour the sippy cup, or pretend to pour the milk or juice into the closed sippy cup. Another uh-oh. We have another problem to solve. It didn't work. What should we do? I don't know what to do. Open the sippy cup. Put the lid on the counter. Try to pour it again. It's not going in. What should we do? The cap. This could be a silly moment between you and your child. And then pour it in. But you don't want to hand them the open sippy cup, but close it for them and hand it back. You've just created a simple story in daily life that your child is starting to get the opportunity to see the structure that they're going to need for the rest of their lives to communicate meaningfully. I would love for you to share your attempts with this, and I would love to hear or even see video of how you riff on this, different versions of this, different uh-ohs, different uh-oh moments that you start to introduce for your child, and different problem solving, opportunities for problem solving that you start to do together. This is where you can meet and start to build the mind of your child. We have opportunities now that we might not have had before. We're home, we're with them. There's a lot we can do. And in the Facebook group, which is in the comment section down below, I'd love for, it's a private Facebook group just for folks who are working on this stuff together. I'd love to see what folks are doing with this. So, see you soon. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please click like and share with anybody you think can benefit from it. For more videos like this, please subscribe. To request a video on a topic that we haven't covered yet, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I'll see that, and if I get enough interest, I'll make a new video. Also, you don't have to do this alone. You could join the discussion in our private Facebook group, and the link is in the comment box down below. Or if you're interested in working with me personally, send me a PM on Facebook and we'll make a time to talk. In the meantime, use your powers and take care.